Back to Branding 101 Part 2.
Yep.
I realized just 3 takeaways, that's what I call them sometimes, is that people took from a conversation we had, the last week's conversation. We talked about the idea of brand visibility, the idea of using videos as one of the growing trends to enhance your brand. So Part 2, a theme that I'm working with is called Getting Your Hands Dirty. And the idea behind that, there's many ways that people can just take that. But the way I worked around it is that, for starters, one, if you know that in terms of gardening and building indoor that perhaps will grow into a beautiful tree that will have fruits, a reward, you need to be able to get your hands dirty. And also the idea of raising umdana sometimes is not the cleanest job, And so this week was a theme to say, does a brand have human qualities? And human qualities is like, how do we relate to brands in such a way that they become us? So I looked at things that I think are similar between, from what I've realized, brands as well as humans. So you find that within brands, you look into, let's say, the human part. One, its hands, feet, its ears, its eyes, its head, mind, the tongue, and the ears. So those are the things that actually execute certain senses that you bring out to the world. So the first part of that within the hands and getting your hands dirty is the hand part. So what part of the hand do we look into when it comes to brand? First of all, how many of us buy brands? I'm just going to put it out to you guys. How many of you guys buy brands? And any t-shirt or shoes, for instance, for shoes, what is the first thing you notice when you get shoes?
I like sneakers.
Okay.
So I buy sneakers.
Okay, what is the first thing you do the minute you get home from buying those sneakers? The very first thing.
Take it out of the box.
Boom. Let's just keep that. Boom. What do you use to take the brand out of its box?
My hands.
There we go. So the first thing is, if we realize we're working with hands, the way I flipped it and I worked around it is that you have to understand the very first connection people might have with your brand, if sometimes it's physical, is a physical connection. So, as I said to artists as well, artists really have this mystique around it, which is good, it works for the brand, but when creatives do not allow a touch, feel, effect within their brands, they're working away from the mold. You find that in certain instances, when you work with a band, when you work with brands, and you work with people who create brands, the first thing you notice is the hands-on effect. So one, understanding the packaging. So that's my sense when I talk about packaging, I'm talking about the physical hands. And I'll just give certain examples. One, how do we get our hands dirty? The plant cannot grow without us actually getting our hands dirty. So in getting our hands dirty, if you are creating a show that will encompass your brand, there's flyers to be handed out, firstly. And that's one-on-one connection. Two, after your event, you're going to be speaking hand-to-hand with Abantu. Sometimes you're greeting them and so forth. But let's move away from the physical attachment to the hand. Let's look at the psychological, perhaps even the sense. So think packaging now. Let's put our minds to packaging. Let's say we open this shoe or we open the box, and maybe the first experience we had was the unpacking. So in the unpacking, if we do not understand that the first thing as we do as brand endorsers, take care of the packaging first, we already lost the potential client. If we take shoes that are beautiful, worthwhile, we put them in the plastic bag and say, there you go. Your experience is gone. We take away the experience of yours. You look at the biggest brands we can talk. I will not mention them. We know them. There's a cell phone manufacturer that is global, is taken over, and a lot of people have these phones closely resembling a fruit. It's a big thing. I would implore people to go out and look at their packaging.
Yeah.
Look at how they package it. Look at the experience of, and this is what they call them in YouTube. They call them the unboxing. I usually just take the time out to watch these unboxing that people do. They speak. They review what it feels like to unbox. And the beauty about keeping a brand alive is sometimes you have to keep the secret within the packaging and not expose the brand.